Hey everybody, Bill here, Blitzmolen Fab. Out in the garage again, messing around. Next little step, I'm gonna install body bushings on the car. I've been noticing being underneath it, now that I have a lift, that the bushings are in pretty terrible shape. So this is what I'm looking at. If you look underneath the edge, you have a mount off of your frame, and then you have your body, and you have a bushing. Actually, you have two bushings. There's actually a bushing here on the bottom, and there's a bushing here on top. Now these bushings are rubber. I'm gonna put urethane in there. I don't know if that's gonna cause me problems. There's another one down here, and if you can see, this is pretty torn up, pretty squished. Sometimes this can let the body roll on the frame a lot and just cause a lot of unwanted movement. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through this, and I'm gonna try to look at loosening these bolts and see what I've got, and put some of these mounts in. They tell you it's fairly easy. I'm gonna use a bottle jack, and I'm gonna jack it up as I loosen the mounts. This is the kit I got. I got this kit from CPP, Classic Performance, and I got the CP 4106G, and it says that it's for 55, 57, two-door, four-door sedan and wagon. I don't know if it has extra, extra bolts in it. There you go, Classic Performance. They have all kinds of stuff. Not sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form, but Classic Performance has a lot of real good classic car stuff. I've ordered lots of stuff from them. So just looking at their little instruction book, they're showing that the way this thing works, there's large washers and small washers. The way they're saying this is set up is you use a large top washer, you put your bigger bushing, and you put your smaller bushing on the bottom with a small washer, and in between all of them there's one of these spacers just to kind of hold everything in place. So these are your top bushings with the little ridge on them, and then these flat ones are your bottom bushings. So I'm gonna just start searching around under my car and see where I can find bushings, and I'm just gonna loosen the bolt up, and I'm gonna put a floor jack in there and lift it up a little bit and see if I can't get the bushings changed out. These here are square. These are the ones that are on the very front. I don't know if you guys can see them very well, but right up in here, this is the front mount. Here's my front tire, front fender, and this is the front mount, and these are the square ones. I don't know why they didn't just use a round bushing, but for some reason this is where the square ones go, and then the round ones go into these other sets. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a floor jack in here and just kind of get up underneath here, loosen up some of these bolts around here on these mounts, and then I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to see if I can lift them up far enough to get some bushings changed out. So I'll be back. Alrighty, well, putting along. I've got the two back here in the back. These are the trunk bushings. I left the other ones on the passenger side on because they tell you not to take them all off. So I've unbolted. These are the driver's side. This one's up kind of behind the back seat. This one's up like on the passenger floorboard. This one is up getting closer to the middle of the car. And then the only one that I've got to get to, like I said, is that one that I showed you guys before, is up here in the front. And so this one here is probably going to prove to be a little challenge, because this fender well is in the way. There's no access here. There's no access inside of here. There's a plate there. So I believe the only access is from the underside. So I'm gonna have to get under here and try to get a wrench or a socket or something up in there and latched onto that so I can get that off. But that's my other one. What I've been finding is a bunch of bushings that are pretty trashed, cracked, can't even tell. They look like they're rubber. One of the back ones was, oops, typical old crap you'd see. The washer just fell out. I don't know if you can see. They had a little tiny washer in this bushing that wasn't even covering the bushing. So the bushing was squeezing through with a little tiny washer. They didn't even use the right washer. So it's supposed to have a washer that covers the entire bushing so that when it squeezes up, it squeezes the whole bushing and holds it. So this one wasn't quite right. And I'm looking at these bolts. These bolts are just regular run-of-the-mill bolts. So I'm probably gonna have to go to the hardware store and pick myself up some bolts, and I'll just have to measure out the sizes. There's a couple different sizes. The ones in here in the middle to the bottom, these are, heck, I don't know, 3 inch, 3.5 inch, 3 1/4 inch, something like that. And then the one up front that I got was a little bit longer. You can kind of see them side by side. Looks like couple, almost double the length, but a couple more inches easy. So that's what I'm looking at. So little by little, I'm just taking these things apart as I can get to them. Haven't had to cut anything yet, thank God, cut any bolts or try to figure out weird ways to get to them. I mean, if I need to, I will, but so far I'm just going little by little. And then after I get this front one off right here, this one that's in here, I'm gonna go ahead and put a jack under here, and I'm gonna actually take a bottle jack and set a bottle jack right here, and I'm gonna lift up here. And I'm just gonna try to lift the body up just a hair, just enough to, you know, be able to take a bushing and just set the bushing in. Like I said, this is the flat one here. So this has the flat square one. So I'll put the washer and the flat bushing in there, and then, you know, just do the same thing here and just kind of move along this side of the car. The other ones I'm gonna loosen but not take out, just so that the body doesn't slide sideways or do anything stupid when I'm trying to pick it up. So definitely don't want that. So I'm gonna keep trucking along and I'll be back. All right, well, that was a good one. I got a wrench wrangled up in there, up above my frame rail, and got this sucker off. And as you can see, this bushing is no good. Like some of the other ones, it looks ripped and jacked, and it came out with a ton of dirt in it. So I don't know if I got a ton of dirt on my face, but it came out with a ton of dirt. So I'm gonna go ahead and fish that bolt out of there and look at what I have for that bolt. And then I'm probably gonna run over to the hardware store and pick up some bolts and some nuts and maybe a little washer or two, although my kit has the washers in them. So I'll fish that thing out of there and I'll be back. Okay, so just a little quick update here. I fished that front bolt out, and take a look at that sucker. That is one good looking little bolt. Looks like it's been vibrating around in there for a long time, probably because the bushings were so screwed up and it wasn't tight. So looks like it's just been corroded, rusting out and moving around. And so definitely not a bad time to be changing body bolts, I guess. So I'm gonna head to the hardware store and pick up some bolts. So I'll be back. All right, here's the passenger side front one that I just got out. Didn't take off to the hardware store just quite yet. Figured I probably ought to look at these bolts. This one was even worse than the driver's side one, and as soon as I started to loosen up the nut, it snapped right off. So that was cool. Made it nice and easy to take off. Like I said, these are in real bad shape, So all rusted out, corroded, down to almost nothing. Probably because, like I said, the bushings were so worn, the bolts were loose, probably rotating, everything getting full of water. So there we go. So I've got one more to just loosen up on the passenger side, and then I'm gonna go bolt hunting. Alrighty, I'm still at it. Okay, there's the front one. I got one side in. There's the second one. And there's the one that's kind of right in the middle. And I found some rust in my rocker panel that I didn't know existed. I had a block with my jack and I was kind of jacking it up. Probably should have done it like I did after I broke through this, and you know, just use these body mounts, these big body mount braces. So oh well, looks like I have a little bit of rust in here. I thought these quarters were replaced, but maybe not, or maybe they were replaced long ago. So they're pretty thin, so I might have to cut this out and just cut myself a piece of metal and you know, just weld me a piece of metal in here. So no biggie. But this is kind of a pain in the butt. It's not quite as easy as I thought it was. Jacking up the body. I'm moving around here. Let me move around here. I was going to show you the back. I got the back ones in right here. Kind of had to use a combination of a jack, pry bar, whole 9 yards. These things are more fun than I thought. Getting the old ones out is kind of a pain in the butt, and a little bit more work than I thought it was going to be. So I've got one side done, like I said, and what I'm doing is I'm leaving them all loose, and I think I'm going to call it a night. Started this a little late in the day thinking it might only take me a couple hours, but it's been a little bit more work getting these things, getting them out, getting the bolts off. So I think for right now I'm gonna just call it a day. Got this thing up sitting in the air. Tomorrow morning I'll get back on it and get the other side done, and I'll let you guys know how it turns out. Thanks. All right, so I'm down to the last couple. Here's the one that I just put in. This is right in front of the back wheel. And this is the last one that I'm putting in. And like I said, all I've had to do is put a floor jack. I put a floor jack under the edge of the car and a block of wood on a brace, a body brace. So be careful if you're doing this. Yesterday, this is what I did, and I crushed in my rocker and found that this part of this rocker is rusty. I actually ordered some rockers, so I'm gonna probably look at doing that job one of these days here sometime soon. So because this all this metal right here is very thin. These rockers on these Tri-Five Chevys are very bad. They have little drains here, and there's one up front. They have little drains in them, but they tend to fill up with dirt. There was all kinds of crap inside of here. They fill up inside of here with dirt, and then as soon as they get wet, that's where all the moisture stays. So I'll probably be doing that one of these days. Speedway had the rockers on sale, and I don't know who they're through. Dynacorn, I believe, for like 50 bucks a piece, 48 bucks a piece. So, but anyway, all I'm doing is jacking the body up just a hair, leaving everything loose. All the other bushings are still loose. Greasing these so they don't squeak. I don't know if it's necessary or not, but I've heard that you're supposed to grease them. So I stuck this up in here. As you can see, this mount is a little bit bent. Don't really care, not really concerned about it. Put a washer up top above it to give it some strength up on the top side. And then I'm getting ready to get the sleeve that goes in here, and then the bottom piece, and then the bottom washer, and then put the bolt up through there. So the two in the back, in the very back, those are bolts that go through from the trunk, and they have an open area in the trunk. And then these here, all the way up here in the front, these are actually bolts, and these come through right on the floor by the corner of the front door. So, and there's actually a hole in there too. So this is not a job that you can't do at home by any means. You don't have to have a lift. It makes it a little bit easier to play around, but you could put this bottle jack right on the floor, lift them up. These are all kind of on the outside, so you don't really have to get under the middle of the car. So anyhow, that's where I'm at. Continuing on. All right, here it is. Here's some of it, but not all of it. These are the bushings that I pulled out. Torn, ripped, squished, just all over the place from A to Z, with little tiny washers that ripped right through the bushings. So it was kind of little washer on this side to big washer on this side. Some of them had big washers, some didn't. A lot of corrosion and crap in the spacers. Like I showed you before, this bolt looked like it was loose and vibrating and turning around and corroded, and it busted right apart. So just A to Z of just crap. Looked like crap. So anyway, all I used on the bushings was just this. This is just a regular tub of cheap high temp disc brake wheel bearing grease. I use this crap on everything. Anytime I need to grease something, I just take that. Anti-seize, I have these couple old tubes of anti-seize. I just put a little tiny bit of anti-seize on the threads. Thought I had a bigger jar of it somewhere, but I can't seem to find it right now. So cleaned up all my crap, and so that would be kind of a job complete. There we go. There's my front one. I went through and got one here, and just went through and just kind of snugged them all down, tightened them up. Like I said, they have the spacers in them. There's one hiding way back here behind my transmission cooler. Thought I was gonna have to take my cooler off. There's another one. These do squish the urethane down just a hair when you snug them down against the spacers. And so, and then in the back, all the way out here in the back, sorry about the great video, got these you access through the trunk, through a hole in the trunk. That is where you can get to the top of the bolt, and you put a nut on them. This one's on this side, this one's on this side. So those are full bolts, and then the ones all the way up here in the front on the passenger and the driver's side by the door, those are bolts that come all the way through, and there's a hole in the floor. Rest of everything else, you just stick a bolt up in here, and by, I don't know, luck, the grace of God, all of mine were okay, and they came out. So I didn't have to try to figure out what I would do to fix the nuts if they were stripped out or anything. So I did put never seize on all of them and put them back in. Like I said, I greased all these. You can see the grease on the washers and on the edges of the bushings. I greased these washers on both sides, so I put a little grease on the frame. Some of them, there was bare metal there from the washers moving around. So enough with the blah blah blah, and that's kind of another job successfully completed. So that's where I'm going to end. You guys all have a great day. I hope everybody likes and subscribe. I need the subscribers. Just trying to get this thing rolling here. And I'm back out with everything cleaned up and the car's still sitting up in the air, and I'll see where I'm gonna go next. So I hope everybody has a great day, and I hope everything's going great in your life. Have a good one.